This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Promises Behavioral Health. Let me ask you something. If negative impacts from the craziness of life affected your job, your social life, maybe even your well-being, if you're struggling through the pains of alcohol or drug addiction or a mental health disorder, hey, there's no better time than right now to seek some help. This can be an opportunity for you, or maybe it's even your loved one, a family member, to get back on track to finding the real you. You're not alone, and Promises Behavioral Health is here for you. They can help you. Now, I want to always say we've worked with Promises for years. There's a lot of people out there you could reach out to, but it's like, how do you know who you can trust? We know their teams personally. I have relationships with them. I've worked with them personally. I trust Promises. That means you can too. So if you want to learn more about Promises treatment options in your area for you or your loved one, here's what you can do. You can go to promisesbehavioralhealth.com/soberguy, or you can just pick up the old telephone, the old cellular device, and you can call 888-205-1890. That's 888-205-1890. All right, let's start the show.
That Sober Guy podcast contains adult content, merciless truth, and emotional nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm Shane Raymer, and you're listening to That Sober Guy podcast, and we help people stay sober. And if it's your first time listening, welcome. Glad you're here today. I got my good buddy, one of my best buds, Seth Mancher, here today. Super excited to have him back on the podcast. He's up in the sticks right now, up in the woods. He's a veteran of the United States Coast Guard. He's been alcohol-free since, I think, sometime around 2010. Have to verify that. One thing you might not know about Seth, he's a big fan of the hot yoga. Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
We talked about that before. I'm going to introduce him formally here in just a second. But are you tired of drinking? Maybe you're just over it like I was. We have a 30-day program designed to help you quit drinking for 30 days or more. It's called Quit Drinking Dude, the ultimate men's guide to quit drinking alcohol and stay sober for 30 days or more. Basically, you get a podcast each day with a new topic and an exercise, a community, a fellowship to help guide you through that 30-day process, as well as some support along the way, some motivation, some encouragement. And you can check it out right now. You can get the entire 30-day program for 50% off. Just use the promo code 50% off. You got to spell it out. You can go to quitdrinkingdude.com. Check it out there. You can follow us on Instagram at That Sober Guy Podcast. Join us in our Sober Guy men's group on Locals. Download the app, or you can go to thatsoberguypodcast.locals.com. All right. All the links from today will be in the show notes. I got my good buddy Seth here. This is the first podcast. Well, it's not the first official podcast of the year in 2022, but it is the first official podcast with a guest. And I'm happy to have my best buddy Seth Mancher here as the first guest of the year. What's up, buddy? You're out in the sticks in Auburn, California. Or no, I'm sorry. What is the name of the
Yeah, bro. I'm not in Auburn. Auburn's a big city. I'm up in Meadow Vista.
Meadow Vista. It's nearby Auburn. That's what I meant. That's what I meant, man.
Yeah.
How is it?
Yeah, we're just up to 80 a little bit. Yeah, man. No, it's good to be here, dude. Like, super stoked. First one for 2022, and it's been a while since I've been on the show too. So, you know, like always, man, it's always a good time, good honor, and you know, just to be able to sit and rap and kind of talk some sobriety and recovery, it's all good.
I love it. It's always fun to get on these together, man. We've known each other, since the fifth grade, I think, you know. And I was just before this, I was running a little late tonight. Actually, we had our coaches meeting for Little League, which was awesome, man. I'm super pumped to I'm going to be throwing my hat out there. Come on, they're 8. Like, what's going on here? Now I'm going to try to hold myself. I'm going to try to be mellow and have fun. Of course I will. But I ran into a old buddy that I haven't seen in a while. I think you remember Charlie Miller. Ran into him and he asked about the podcast, and he said, "Man, are you still doing it with Seth or whatever?" And I said, "Dude, so glad you asked that. As a matter of fact, I'm headed right now to go record with him." So it was really cool, just to get together again. It's been too long, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And it's so crazy, man. Like, even just seeing the kids, right? Like, the kids are now the age where we met, and it's like, to be able to reminisce and be like, damn, like, I was your age when I met your father, and we lived this whole lifetime together. And it's just kind of to see ourselves, again, as kids in that age, dude, it's so cool. Yeah, man. It is the friendship and that time, dude, that we had together. I would say we've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, but I don't feel like we have. I feel like, it's for the most part, everything's been pretty good. So yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary to think that our kids are at that age now too, because I know what our little dumbasses were doing in the 5th and 6th and 7th grade. I mean, I don't know. It's fun. It's fun though at the same time. So what else has been up, man? How are you? Give us a little update on what's been going on in Seth Mancher's life. I get a lot of questions. Where's Seth? Where's Seth been? How's Seth doing? So I know there's a lot of folks out there, who love you and are looking forward to hearing a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, like I've always said, man, I live a pretty mundane life for the most part. Obviously live a life of sobriety and try to better myself on a daily basis. Still just a regular Joe, have a regular 9-to-5 job. In a beautiful location. I get to go up to Folsom Lake every day, and that's my office. So that's pretty rad. And continue on with the recovery stuff. Like you said before, man, the hot yoga is my thing. Like that's my practice. That's what connects my mind to my body on the daily basis. So I try to practice at least 4 times a week. It's been getting a little bit, it's been getting harder, with the move and all that stuff. So I've been going in the morning and the evening. So the yoga practice is in full swing. I actually hit it this morning at 5:30, just before I went to work. Yeah. So that's a big thing, man. And just, just trying to live this life, joyous, happy, and free as much as possible, without that, without the alcohol or the substance, that kind of took me out of present moment. You know what I mean? So, just living it for sure. And you talk about, a lot of change, us, we kind of did the same thing, man. We sold our house in Vacaville and sold a bunch of the stuff that we had and decided to, move up the hill and up into the foothills, and try and get away from the hustle and bustle as much as possible, man, of suburbia, big city. Absolutely love it up here, man. I'm amongst the trees. I see deer all the time. Wildlife is crazy. So, I feel like I'm home,
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good to feel home or good to feel like you're at home. It's also a lot of change, Excuse me. I know both of us, and we talked about this when we got to meet earlier this week. Was that this week or last week? It was just recently, about life changes and things we're going through. And dude, there's been a lot of changes in the last couple of years. And I think if I was still drinking through a lot of these changes, there's a good chance I'd be dead, divorced, or I don't know. Who knows? Who knows where I would be? Just because change is tough. It's hard to go through. It's hard to go through different times in life and I don't know. It's hard to do it and like be not focused, but aware of it, I guess. Like the awareness of the changes and of the things that are happening. I guess probably that's why I drank for so long. Maybe, I don't know. Did you have any adjustment periods like after moving and it's a lot all at once?
Oh yeah, for sure. And to sit here and talk and say like, yeah, I'm amongst the trees, like I'm home. That doesn't go without the struggle and the stresses of just, finding a new way to get to work. Like that's the minimal stuff, dealing with all the dirt and the bugs and the leaves, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
So my wife has we've done the reverse. So I was commuting to work. So now she's commuting down to work. So that was kind of a work in progress. Had to, kind of be there, still am there for her. So I usually get home now first and take care of the dog. So the roles have switched in that.
Yeah.
Something, there's definitely struggle in change for sure. But I think, one of my favorite meditation teachers always talks about change. And he always said, the growth happens in the struggle, or growth happens in the difficulties. And I truly believe that, man. I truly believe that, if change were easy, I don't think that we would, we'd be so drawn to it. And for the most part, man, like, I'm not one of change, you know what I mean? I don't like change. But I think, at some point in time, I felt like I was kind of stuck, and I needed something new, or something different, to kind of motivate me and get me back on track.
Yeah.
You said something though that I want to ask you. I mean, if you were still, stuck in your addiction, drinking, drug, and doing whatever the hell you're doing, do you think that you would have stepped outside of your box and made the changes that you talk about?
Probably not. I'd probably still be stuck. Like, I mean, that's a funny question, and it's a crazy question at the same time, because the choices we make in the moment shape our future. So, like, man, that, like, or the choices we don't make, it's crazy to think about how one decision can really change the trajectory of your life, and not only of my life, but like my kids' lives, my wife's life, like my family's life. So to answer your question, absolutely not. I'd probably, I don't know where I would be or what I'd be doing. It probably wouldn't be good. I can say that. I definitely wouldn't have had the balls to pack everything up and pack my family up and sell everything and go stay at the beach for, a while until we figure out what the heck we were going to do. I think that we live in a society today that, and I guess it's not just today. I mean, gosh, we've probably been dealing with this crap for decades, but there's a lot of fear instilled in people, in culture, in just in general. And so the one thing for me that helps to curb that fear is just relying on God and knowing that, like, I don't have the answers. I don't have control of everything, but I got a good support system with my family, with my friends, with my recovery buddies and communities and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what keeps me going. I'm so glad I'm not drinking and doing that crap anymore, though. But I'm too old for that crap now anyways, dude. I don't know. I don't think I could recover, be down for weeks probably.
Yeah, for sure. And dude, and so one thing that, has been kind of really evident for me is the amount of gratitude that I have for the ability to have made the change or decided to make that change, man. Yeah. Like having that power, and just kind of everything, like we talk about it, like, everything just kind of falls into place, man. And those are the things that are meant to be. I know that for me, if I was still drinking and drugging as much as I was, or any at all, I would be stuck, exactly, or I probably wouldn't even have the opportunity to make the change. Yeah. Because, all of my resources would have gone to keeping that numbness or keeping that that high or that drunk going, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't even have the opportunity. So like I said, man, just full of gratitude for the opportunity to be able to, me and my wife, we still talk about it, man, like come up here and live our dream, you know what I mean? Like got a little bit of property, you know what I mean? So yeah, dude, just so full of gratitude. But, and again, man, like there's still a struggle that goes on with that, right? So in California, like dealing with, in the summertime, the wildfires, like kind of living on edge, you know what I mean? Like worried about, well, shit, is everything that I just, kind of quote unquote obtained, like, is it going to burn to the ground? You know what I mean? And kind of having to, give up that kind of control to Mother Nature, that's just one of the many like kind of stresses of what that change has brought on for us, for sure.
Yeah, that's scary. That's a little scary. You definitely makes you be prepared. I'm sure, you got a lot of preparation to do beforehand. So you put yourself in a good position to kind of alleviate some of the anxiety, some of the stress around that. Cause it kind of comes with the territory. Right. And, one thing you said, you said property, and you reminded me of get off my property, you goddamn dumb bitch. How come old people say some bitch? My grandpa used to say that all the time. There's some bitch. So I always do that voice, and it always ends with a some bitch. And then sometimes there's a property in there. Get off my property. I don't know. Completely random. Sorry, bro. Sorry. But,
I don't know. But, and so going back, man, like, one thing that I've really had to do is kind of like separate my attachment with all my things, right? To be able to live in a place where there's that elevated wildfire risk, man, is just, knowing and understanding, like, we got a go bag, and a couple Tupperwares really close to the, garage door, God forbid something were to happen that we could throw it, grab it, throw it in the back of the truck or whatever. But yeah, really just trying to disconnect from all the materialistic bullshit, that we think that brings us happy, and I think that's something that has brought like a lot of, that gratitude on that I talk about, and also a lot of the, just the willingness to accept the change, that we've made in our lives, for sure.
Everyone has their stuff. I have a pod sitting in my driveway right now that they're picking up 2 days from now, that it has tubs of like Christmas decorations and just a bunch of random stuff, an old ass couch that I don't know what I'm going to do with sitting in there, dude. And I wish that somebody would just come take it away and just take it. I don't want to deal with it. It's more stuff,
So you're going to store it?
We're going to store it just so it sits there. Okay. I'll give Jess the decoration stuff. She's going to condense some of it down. A lot of it's like Christmas stuff. Some of it's old, some of it's new stuff. But it definitely needs to be condensed down. I do have my backpacking stuff in there, which I think is like is a 2-tubber. So that, that's important because it's mine, right? Selfish son of a bitch. But
you son of a bitch.
Yes, some bitch. But the couch, like, what are we going to do? Like, I guess, maybe maybe I'll put it in the garage here or something and make it like one of those nasty garage couches that just sits out here, You can take a nap on it. The dude on the couch. I don't know, but we all have our stuff, dude. And I think that, your point is really good in the fact of like, we have these attachments to things. And when those attachments are broken, whether it's stuff or whether it's people or whether it's time, that kind of falls in line with the whole change thing we're talking about. And it's like, we get stuck on these things or these times. And it's really hard to, when those leave us, whether it's people, whether it's places, whether it's things. Like, we've had a really tough time, especially the kids and Jess, adjusting to not being by the beach now, again, because it's totally different. And we finally had a good talk about this the other day, all of us at dinner. And I realized that it's not so much like the beach. It's not so much the water, the people. I mean, those are all amazing things, right? But what I realized that all of us miss, it's the experience. It's that time that we spent together, just the four of us, in that moment that we'll never get back again. Do you know what I'm saying? And that is a really, really hard thing sometimes to like accept and to let go of, and then, but have it still live inside you and just really appreciate that time together. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm so grateful that I get to have some of that insight. Like it's not, I'm not trying to like complicate it or anything, but I think, if I was drinking, I probably wouldn't have been down there in the first place. But had I been drinking to that, you don't care about that kind of stuff. You don't get that kind of perspective on it,
Yeah, for sure, dude. And that brings up like a really like interesting point, man, that, familiarity brings on distraction. You know what I mean? So you're in this new place where you don't really know anybody, and you don't really have like the softball thing or the baseball thing. You don't have all these places to be, but together with the family. And I think, so when you go back to your hometown or where you lived for a while, man, you start, wanting to hang out with the friends, or, you sign the kids up for the little league or all the little extracurriculars. And then, like you say, man, like you miss out on that time that you would have been spending you guys would have all been spending together in a place that was unfamiliar. Yep. So I totally get it, man. And, this is something that you and I both talked about, man, like that quote, like wherever you go, there you are, you know what I mean? Like sure. It's so true. You know what I mean? Like there was for a very long time, man. And even when we moved, I thought that it was going to bring like some personal change, but, come to find out, right, like there was still some of the sorrows and feelings that I was having down in Vacaville. And it's just a true testament, man. Like wherever you go, there you are. You know what I mean? You could change your physical spot. You could change some of your things, your belongings. You could try and fill that void, right? And nothing is ever gonna do that for you until you are content. And I don't even know if being content is even a thing. Like, I don't even know if it's obtainable.
I know. Yeah, I don't know either. I think satisfaction, being content, being relaxed. But I feel like we're just wired sometimes to just want more, we're trying to find that next thing. And actually I don't remember where I was talking about this recently, somebody, but just that next thing, and it totally robs you of being in the moment, what you're doing right now, what you're working on, or who you're spending time with, or whatever, because you're trying to fill that next void, and for me, the only thing I've found that fills that void is God. Like, that's it. Like, for me, like, it's the only thing that I can 100% go back to and rely on. And know that in my worst moment, when I'm feeling like dog shit, when I'm questioning everything, I'm doubting everything, I'm like, what's going on? I know that I need to give it up in that moment and just go, God, like, I need some help with this. Like, I can't, because I'm really trying to do it. And that's the problem. I'm trying. It's like, I got to try harder. I got to do more. It's like, wait a minute. What if we don't have to do that? What if I just need to give it up to God and just really trust the process, So I think that I'm really trying to do a better job of that today. But it's pretty tough sometimes, especially when you have other people in your life, family, kids, everyone has different personalities. Just because we're family, we're all different, and it's hard to keep up with it sometimes, it really is.
Well, for sure, bro. And there are so many societal distractions, man. It's just kind of the way that we've been, I like to call it domesticated, man, is that for one, it's our human nature to be competitive, right? And there's only, most of us show through our competitiveness through, wealth or things that we have, status quo, or job, you know what I mean? What's one of the first things that you used to ask, or that you get asked of a stranger when you meet somebody, like, oh, what do you do for work, right?
What do you do?
And a lot of times it's, it's not because you're really interested in what they do for work. It's because you want to know if, do you have a better job than them or whatever. And that's just kind of how I see it, man. And so there's that that's competitiveness for sure. And then, man, just being distracted, dude, society, everything around us, man, I think is a way to distract us. The phones, the social media, us as, I can't say us, man, I can only really speak for myself, but, I have a really hard time being in present moment. Yeah. And being with exactly what is, you know what I mean? And there's only one thing that does that for me, kind of like you have, God does that for you. God does that for me as well. It's just kind of a different God. So the yoga practice is what helps me connect my mind and body to present moment, because my mind will fucking wander no matter what. Body is always in present moment. So if I'm able to at least have some recognition, I know that it's never going to be perfect, but have some recognition of what is actually going on, and not being distracted from the things that matter or things that's like right in front of me,
Yeah.
then I think, I'm beginning to win the battle. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think society, man, or just our domestication, like I said, is really trying to get us out of, the contentment, gratitude, present moment, all the things, right?
It's like our natural, like, human state. That's how we connect spiritually. And I think there's something to be said about the power of when a human being can connect to something higher. And I think a lot of that, to your point, gets totally, you said domesticated, which reminds me of the Four Agreements. But I think that's the first time I heard like domesticated and actually put it together. And it was like, wow, that's really interesting. Like, yeah, we're like domesticated as like anything right now. But I think what it does with the social media, constant bombardment by ads, and it really does disconnect us from the natural state and the ability to connect to something, which is what really feeds our body and our soul and our mind. So when we're not getting fed by that, it's really easy to go down a path of, even like mild destruction, just of being unhappy, having anxiety, being fearful, being an asshole, even, just being unhappy, period. And so I think that's why you and I we both love backpacking. I think that's a really good example, or like hiking or just being outside, because we do something like physical with it, right? There's a challenge involved. And then we're out in the sticks, in the middle of the wilderness, just hanging out and trying to like reconnect back to that like kind of more human state, I guess, where we're not so distracted all the time, man. And I'm as guilty of it as anybody too, by the way. Don't let me act like I'm not trying to say like, because I'm on my phone way too much, and I'm on it for, and here's what I'm going to say right now. I'm on it for work, and I do my business through here, and I do it at my group, and it's fucking valid, but it's also bullshit at the same time, because like, it's really hard. I don't know how I try to do my best to be aware of it and acknowledge it and get, some sort of the other side of the coin so I can stay connected, because dude, it's so easy to go off on a path, that's not good.
Yeah, no, for sure. And bro, like I struggle with that too, man. Like just having a hard time just sitting somewhere, right? Like even on the shitter, bro, like what's the first thing I grab when I go take a shit is the phone. Yep. You know what I mean? I can't just go in there or, sitting at lunch, after I eat my lunch, the first thing I grab is my phone. And rather than to have a conversation with the people that I'm sitting at the table with, you look at us and we're all sitting there on our fucking phones. You know what I mean? So if there's nothing else that takes you away from present moment, right? It's that fucking little black electronic thing that we're all so attached to.
Dude, totally. The little tracking device. It's in our pockets. We just willfully give up everything on it. And here you go. And when you said, how many times, let me ask you if you've done this. How many times have you been somewhere like a store or in the public or somewhere, and you look up and you'll see like a group of people, like let's say there's five, like Cash and I were at the golf course the other day eating some lunch after we played a little bit, and I look up and there's like 5 dudes standing there. They were in some sort of group. They probably just played in a little tournament or whatever, and they were all standing there, and they were all on their phones, right, with their faces buried in it, just down the line. And I looked up and I was like, what the, man, look at these fools. And I started totally taking inventory, right? And then I had to stop myself and go, how many times have you been that dude standing there with your dumb face buried in your stupid phone? You know what I mean? Like I've done the same thing. And I don't know that there's a right or a wrong answer. Maybe it's just being aware of it, maybe trying to like not do it as much. Maybe it's going back to a house phone. Trust me, I've went through that scenario in my head too. Screw this phone. I'm done with it. It's like, it's interesting topic.
Yeah. So for me, man, like when I'm at home, like I have to put that shit upstairs. Yeah. You know what I mean? When it's me and my wife here, and we're, like the 2 hours that I get to see her a day, You know what I mean? I definitely don't want to spend it with my face in my phone. And not to say that I don't, because, you know, there are nights that both of us are sitting here and we got our face in our phone. But, you know, I really have to have like that physical separation to get rid of it. You know what I mean? And that's the other thing, right? Like you go and you hang out with some friends, you know what I mean? Like the dudes at the golf course, and you're all on your fucking phone. You know what I mean? Like you're only with your homies fucking 2 or 3 hours, you know, just to hang out. Right. Yeah. And you're still, you know, connected. So what my dumbass has done, I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I don't want to carry my phone anymore. You know what I mean? So I go buy a fucking Apple Watch. You know what I mean? It's the exact same thing. Yeah. It's just on my wrist. You know what I mean? You know, I can't really surf the web with it. But yeah, so I got it so that my excuse was so I didn't have to carry my phone in my back pocket with my tools and break it. Yeah. So my wife could get a hold of me whenever, you know what I mean? Which is, it's all complete bullshit. You know what I mean? It's that, that need to feel like you could be reached or like you say, it's that need of I'm so important. I need to be reached, or, you know what I mean? Like,
well, and then you find ways to justify, it's just like drinking too. Like we find ways to justify the behavior, you know, well, I didn't need it because in my back pocket, I didn't want to break it or whatever. So I get it, you know, and then we find ways of how it's helpful too, because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of helpful things in technology, right, that we use. Like for instance, when I coach baseball this year, and we've done this in the past, we'll use one of the group apps where the whole team and the team parents, they can all be involved in it, versus back in the day, dude, you had to call like every single parent. And if it got rained out, you had to sit there on a list and go through every single phone call and go. I mean, it just took forever, you know, for the coaches back in the day when we were kids. And now we just have an app and we go boom, boom, we make a little message, hey, no practice today. So there's conveniences of it, which I love, but man, the downside to it, it's like the dude we played golf with this dude who was a single from Vallejo out there. Cool dude, man. Just kind of picked up golf recently, and we were chopping it up or whatever. And he kept looking at his watch while he was hitting. And I was like, dude, I said, hey, bro, is that an Apple Watch? And he goes, oh yeah, it is. I said, what do you got, a rangefinder on there? And he said, oh yeah, I got an app on here. So it tells me the distance, and it even tells me what club to pick. And I said, oh my God, are you kidding me right now? So we don't even need the human mind is becoming irrelevant. Tell me what club to pick. Tell me how far it is. And, you know, hey, what the hell? I'll just wind up and smack it and then go to the next one. And as convenient as it is, I will say this. I love a good rangefinder. My buddy Nate got a great rangefinder. So does Gary too. So when we're out there, when I play with those guys, I should probably get one too. You scope it out and then it tells you you're 237 yards out. Okay, that's fine. But let me at least make the decision to pick the club. Can I just do that at least? You know? It's pretty for
sure, dude. We do it to ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we continue to want to have the next best thing and so on and so forth. And you know, we look like you know, kind of beating the horse dead. We look to our phones for so much, you know what I mean? Because we don't want to have to think. We don't want to have to problem solve. We would rather just kind of at the touch of a couple finger touches, get all the information that we had. Remember when you used to have to fucking write down directions? Like, how do you get to your house? Let me write these directions. And then we got all advanced with fucking MapQuest. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just one of those things, dude. And like you say, man, you know, everything in moderation, right? But is my moderation the same as your moderation? Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's different.
I don't know. Yeah.
Jess's papa, just one of the most awesome dudes I know, just freaking hilarious. He still does that too. He did it when Gary moved recently, or no, Joey, because Joey, you know, we live nearby, and he was telling me that all of a sudden Papa showed up at his house one day, and I guess a couple days prior to that, he made Joe write down the directions for him. So you're going to go up down Browns Valley, and you're going to make a right here, and then at the third stop sign, you see there's a berry bush right there, and you're going to make a left there, and then just keep going down. That's how we used to do it. You know, it was kind of fun actually too. I would say so. Now we're just lazy. Isn't that the same thing? Because you mentioned numbing out, right? Like we numb out on that. Isn't it almost the same concept of drinking. Like we drank to numb out, we drank to escape. And I think I've done some podcasts and had some conversations around this too. Like Amazon is one of them, right? Or just shopping online. I've been on Dick's Sporting Goods a lot. By the way, Cash calls it Wieners. I think I told you that the other day. Are we going to go to Wieners, Dad? I said, Wieners? What are you saying? Dick's, are we going to? Oh, yeah, we're going to. Oh, good one, boy. Good one. Wieners. All right.
Yeah.
But, we shop. We look at things on there. That's a way of numbing out. Like, just like, so we don't have to feel. Feeling's tough. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm for sure, right? So it's all of that. And I go back to, I keep all my shit real basic, right? It's all going back to present moment, right? How do we escape present moment? Back in the day before 2010, before I went to fucking rehab, it would be with the drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do I escape now? Get on my phone. You know what I mean? If I'm not entertained or I'm not somewhere I want to be, I'll pull that fucking little black device out, dude, and go, deep into looking at farm animals on fucking Craigslist or looking at like kits to change my bicycle into a little moped on Amazon, you know what I mean? Which I can't fucking buy one in California.
Anyway,
I'm trying to find a way how to I don't know, get a P.O. box in Nevada or some shit, because I really want to change my little beach cruiser into a little moped or whatever. But
what about boots?
Yeah,
do you ever search for boots?
Oh, got plenty of boots.
That's a good one.
Got plenty of boots. Yeah. So, but no, dude, it's definitely, it's one of those things, dude, when present moment is not satisfying enough, dude, going back to the phone is, pulling that thing out. It definitely helps with, or doesn't help. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's definitely a distraction for sure. I want to, dude, going back to the direction things, man. So, irrelevant conversation, you know what I mean? But so it's so funny, like that whole generational thing. Like I went to pick up some firewood from one of the guys out here in the country, right? And I was talking to him on the phone. And I was like, "Oh, can you just text me your address?" He was like, "Oh no, I don't text. You know what I mean? Like I'm old." And so he told me, he asked me where I was coming from. And I was coming from Folsom, and he lives in Loomis, so. For someone that's not in the area, like it's a good probably 30 miles away, you know what I mean? And all kinds of different cross streets. It's 5 or 6 towns over, you know what I mean? And this dude gave me like spot on directions from where I was at in Folsom to his house.
Just by knowledge.
Just
by knowledge,
area. You know what I mean? Like I don't think if you told me, or asked how to get to my house from where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Well, I probably could just because of the familiarity of the two towns.
Yeah.
But, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's just it's that generational thing.
It's a skill. Sure. It's a lost art too, like you said, because we're all lazy asses now. We just give it to me now. I just want to know. Oh my God, my phone's not working. How am I going to get down to wherever I'm going? It's like, man, got to learn how to read a map. I do know how to read a map, so I'm happy about that. That's good. Got to know how to read a map. I was going to tell you something. I was going to ask you something. What the heck was it now? I know what it was. Well, go ahead. I'll
go ahead.
pocket it. Well, I was just going to tell you, it was nice to see your post today on the locals men's group. Like you put a good little share on there about some of your experience, bro. And I just wanted to call that out. I appreciate you doing that, because there's been a few dudes doing that lately, and I have been trying. It's been like there's a lot more going on in the group lately, which I love, dude. And it's hard to get dudes to talk about stuff. I've noticed, and so we're really just trying to build like trust in there, and just build a good community of dudes from all over the place who can joke around, have some fun, and then share kind of like you shared today too. So I just want to tell you thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no, dude, I appreciate that. And bro, like scrolling through it the last couple of days, like, like I'm not a big social media guy, man. I'm not on the Insta. I don't have Facebook. I don't really do all that shit, dude. But looking back into the locals, like the last couple of days, I was like, man, this is really something that I could get down with, man. So I really figured, like I should throw something out there and kind of introduce myself. And then, of course, like dumbass me, man, like I get in the heat of the moment and I hit that send button, dude. And then I read it and I'm like, oh my God, bro. Like a lot of it came out, you know what I mean? But there's those, a couple typos, man. And
there's an edit button, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, and so not having like the patience to be able to give myself that time to do that. But then again, on the other aspect of it, man, like, I don't know, I guess it shows that humanistic, like not trying to be perfect, you know what I mean? But yeah, dude, it's a great platform, man. And I look forward to being like an active member of that group.
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact, dude, like, and not to like blow my own horn or whatever, but I think there's a lot of things that I could learn from some of the people that are in that group, man. And I definitely look forward to getting to know some of the dudes in there.
Yeah,
I think it's great. It's a great resource for sure.
It is, dude. And we still have this Sober Guy podcast on Instagram. I ditched Facebook and Twitter, Facebook in like 2018 and Twitter last year or 2 years ago. And so I'm kind of slowly like phasing these platforms out that I don't really like a whole lot. Right. But we still, and I've gone up and down, but I've deleted stuff for you. I'm done with that shit. And then, you're back on there again, but the locals is something special. Like it's something that is an actual purpose. Like there's a men's group, there's a fellowship forming and growing in there. And I think that's why, like, it's not just like a bunch of random stuff on social media, you know what I mean? And I hope that helps. And I hope it's safe. It feels like somewhere that's safe where like we can be dudes and just talk about stuff and not have to worry about what people are going to think or are they going to say, you know what I mean? Like it's an open spot to do that. So anyways, man, I know. And speaking of that, do you want to take this question that we had come up from today, or did you have something else that you were going to say before I jumped in?
No, yeah. Let's take the question. I mean, I probably did have something to say, but it was either a lie or not important because I totally forgot it. So,
well, if you remember, bring it up again. So I threw this out there in locals today, just kind of wondering, like, as we start to look to book new guests and find new topics for the podcast, and like, hey, what do you guys want to hear? What do you guys want to ask about? And J Nova 710 from the group, and I tried to find your name, bro, like on there, and I couldn't find it. So, but J Nova 710 on there says, in the question I wanted to talk about, I really have a tough time with frustration, anger, being irritable. I'm newly sober, but I've been trying for a while. And so I said, man, well, you know what? Like, shoot, this came in today. And I said, well, Seth and I are recording tonight. So why don't we just address this on today's podcast? Because I know you and I both have had our own battle and still do sometimes with frustration, anger, being irritable. I'd like to say that I've came a long way, since 2013 when I, pre-drinking, or it was really bad, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, man? Like, how should we kick this off and talk about it a little bit?
So bro, like I think when I look at my frustration and my anger, like I still battle with it, like on the regular. I think it's fewer and far between now, but it's still one of those things that I have to be really, really conscious of, man. And not to be cheesy or whatever, I think, one of the biggest things, dude, and the episode that you released today about expectations, was that today?
I think it was last night, but today, yeah, it was like,
yeah. So,
yeah.
So looking at that, you know what I mean? And really seeing, how those two, frustration and anger and expectations, how those two kind of go hand in hand with one another, because I think that, if my expectations aren't met, usually frustration, anger, anxiety all those defense mechanisms definitely come to surface. And then two, this is something that one of the regular meditation teachers that I listen to kind of talked about is that, like as humans, actually as this human, as me and my addiction, man, like I thought that life was an onset of just like pleasurable things, like everything was good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I was faced with those things that were not good, like I would remove myself from them with a fucking 30 pack of Budweiser and a handle of Jim Beam, you know what I mean? So I was unable to deal with the things that would frustrate me or make me angry, because I would just fucking drink it away, you know what I mean? And getting sober, like now I have to feel all that shit and I have to process all that shit in a way that is A, non-harming to others, and B, non-harming to myself. And knowing and understanding, right, that the instances where anger, frustration, anxiety and all that shit, knowing and understanding that those times are going to pass for sure. So I think it's one of those things that comes with time, being able to recognize it when it comes to the surface, right? Like I had a counselor that taught me, when that stuff comes up, like you really have to ask yourself, like, what is this? You know what I mean? Is this anger? Okay, so this is anger. This is what anger feels like. Yeah. And that was one of the most crazy things, and this is something that I talked about when I was newly sober, man, is having that ability to feel. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even know what those feelings were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So kind of labeling like, okay, this is anger. You know what I mean? And then delving deeper into that and saying, okay, where is this coming from? And 99% of the time it was from within, because my expectations weren't met. You know what I mean? I was expecting something else to happen, right? It's just, I think it's one of those things that comes with time.
Yeah.
For sure, being able to deal with that. And like I said, dude, like I still deal with that shit on the daily.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's really good. And like recognizing it, and it's great you brought this up. And because I was just working on some of this recently, and I was going over some of the work I've been doing with the 30-day program, right? And one of the days in there is it's day 21, I think, and it's called RAWW, RAWW, identifying your warning signs. And I came up with this like acronym, like fresh off of like getting really pissed off at one of my kids one day. And it was just like, they weren't doing, I don't even remember exactly what it was. I think I talked about it on a old podcast, or not even that old, maybe, within the year or so. But like, and then I realized like, dude, like you're not, like you have to think about this stuff. So it was crazy. And then I was like, so the R in RAW, it's RAWW, stands for recognize how I'm feeling, right? So like, okay, I'm pissed off right now, and I'm going to say like, okay, wait, I'm angry. And then the A is acknowledge and accept that it's okay to feel. Because normally I'm like, oh man, like I'll get mad at myself or not even recognize it at all. So now I'm going to acknowledge it, and I'm going to accept that it's okay that you're angry right now, Shane. And then I'm going to ask myself, that's the why, or the W, the first W, like, why am I feeling like this? So man, well, I'm feeling like this because, my daughter didn't do what she was asked to do. Then she got an attitude, and then it just blew up into this big thing. Okay, that's why I'm feeling like that. And then now the last W, what do I need to do? Like, how do I need to make adjustments here? Do I need to go apologize? Do we need to have a conversation about this? Do we need to set up some different rules that fit? You know what I mean? So you have like that breakdown, but then I noticed what it also did is it made me like step back and breathe a little bit and actually think rather than just act on that raw emotion. You know what I'm saying? So and it's worked. I've used it many, many times since, especially in instances when I get pissed off, because it's like a reset. I'm like, okay, wait, I can step back and like, let me just Let me just think. I guess it kind of ties in with that response versus reacting. We learned a lot about that in treatment, because I'll blow up on a reaction and then I'm a jackass,
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, I think, dude, and that was something that I was going to say too, man, is that whole process of turning reactionary behavior into responsive behavior, you know what I mean? And that comes with that whole process, the raw process, or that acknowledgement, like, okay, so what is this feeling? This is anger. Like labeling it, like it's okay to fucking put a label on it.
Yeah.
And then, like a lot of the times what I ask myself is like, okay, I'm angry. And then I ask, like, what was my expectation? What did I want? And then what was the intention there? Like, was that intention to be a self-serving intention, or was that intention for the greater good of the things that are around me? You know what I mean? And if I'm able to answer those three questions, then that gives me the time to actually like look at it and examine it, right, on what's going on. You know what I mean? And it's definitely a practice of being mindful of that emotion as it arises.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so before it comes up. And bro, like I will tell you, man, like I just had a battle of anger probably like 2 months ago. It was with the healthcare system. And I was trying to get some service from, my healthcare provider, and things weren't like lining up the way that I thought that they should have in my head. And I fucking blew up. Like I lost my shit with the nurse on the other end of the phone, right? To the point to where they were like, I lost my shit on them, and then I hung up, and I got a call probably like 10 minutes later. It was the fucking Placer County sheriff.
Oh, wow.
Like, hey, we're doing a wellness check on you. And it was that moment I was like, God damn, Seth, like, what the fuck, man? Like, this is not who you are. You know what I mean? And I was able to talk about that with another alcoholic. I was actually able to talk about it with two other alcoholics, and only to get it out there and be like, I still have a lot of work to do. You know what I mean? And, maybe I will never be perfect at it, but being able to recognize that when that came up, and then, God forbid, like the gal on the other end of the phone, you know what I mean? For one, she's doing her best.
Yeah.
For two, she's at her place of employment where she feeds her family. That's how she puts a roof over her head. And you got some asshole on the other end of the fucking line that has this entitlement. Like, you need to serve me, and I'm not being served. Those are words that came out of my mouth, dude. And I've really had to kind of check myself and be like, well, oh my God, dude, like, what the fuck did I just do?
I'm all for being our own advocates for things, right? Because sometimes we do have to push a little bit to take care of ourselves or get what we need to get done. But it's a really good point. And thank you for sharing that, by the way, too, because I know a situation like that might not always be easy to talk about, because we know that we were in the wrong about something, and we're like, dude, like, that's not, like you said, that's not me. But we get lost in that moment, that fit, that frustration on what, and then we can just add to the fact here that there's a lot of stress and a lot of things going on right now in people's lives that is very abnormal to what we've seen prior to years before all this crap was going on, So you have that in there. But I think that when we learn like how to control some of those emotions, or at least maybe we don't learn, like you said, and be perfect in them, but when we start to become more aware of them, then we can start to respond better versus like reacting, you know what I mean? And it's just part of it, man. We just sometimes we gotta screw some things up and make some wrong moves. And then we go, wait a minute. All right. I know I'm not going to do that again. I might do it like that, but I'm going to adjust a little bit here. You know what I mean? We're just trying to get better and do the best we can, just like she was trying to do the best she could. So,
well, and too, bro, like I truly believe, like, not that I don't take full responsibility for my actions in that, because I do. But on the other hand, like, I truly feel that I needed to work on that a little bit more and a little bit better. Something happened that allowed me to act like that, because to be 100% honest, like, that was very out of character for me, just as even when I was in my addiction, even when I was drinking, like, I was so fucking mad. And I can't remember the last time I was that mad. You know what I mean? I think that was a wake-up call, like, hey, you need to work on this. Like, this is something that you need to put a little bit more work into it. And, you know, it's something that I'm still working on, right? And I had to go back to some old, like, therapy sessions where I had notes, you know what I mean, that talked about, like, taking that time, recognizing the feeling, putting a fucking name on it, putting a label on it, and then, you know, delving deeper into it. And I think, you know, a lot of times, like, people out there are probably like, oh, you know, when I'm in the heat of the moment, I don't have the time or the ability to close my eyes and put a name on this. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think for the most part, if you just try it, you'll be surprised what a simple breath could do, as long as you have that clear mind and clear head to have that ability to take that breath, for sure. It
says that in the big book, right? We pause. We stop, you know, we ask for direction from God. I mean, I'm not hitting it verbatim, but like we have to take a minute and just step back a little bit. I know you lead at work. You're a leader at work. You lead other dudes. Like, how do you deal with somebody who's not doing what the hell you need them to do, or not doing it the way that it needs to be done? Like, that's a good question, I think, for dudes out there too, who are also maybe in construction, maybe they're in the office. It's really just two different cultures, I guess, at some point, but the concept is the same. We have a team of dudes or a team of people that we need to get a job done, but, you know, these two aren't doing their part of it. Like, how do you deal with that without getting pissed off?
So, I mean, that's kind of a loaded question, right?
Kind of.
I think, you know, a lot of the times, you know, I'll kind of share my own experiences, my own training and education, you know, because bro, we're at an age where we're not the youngest guy on the job anymore. Yeah. We're that dude that has, you know, a little bit more experience, and we're not the oldest guy on the job anymore. So we can move a little bit faster than the oldest guy on the job. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think being able to share my experience and kind of explain why I think it's important, and then just be like, this is how I think it should be done. But, you know, we are both journeymen, or we're both on the same level, right? So do how you're going to do it. If you need help, I'm here for you. I think that's the biggest thing, is just letting people know who may or may not be on the same path. Like, this is what works for me. I'm here for you if you need it. And if you fuck it up, like, I'm probably going to have to fix your shit. Yeah. Right. So if you get to a point to where you think you're fucking it up too much, like, just stop. You know what I mean? So that's how I take care of that in the professional arena. I think it's very important to communicate, you know what I mean, in just a personal, right? Like, if someone's not doing what I think that they should be doing, it's important. It's okay to communicate why you think that something should be done in a certain manner or way, and then say your piece, and then be okay with whatever the outcome may be. Or try to be, you know what I mean? And I think it goes back to that knowing and understanding that life has good moments that bring us happiness and joy, and then life has not so good moments that, you know, could bring that anger and frustration, right? And then knowing and understanding that both of those are impermanent in nature, right? So the only thing that's permanent is change. And if you're able to be with, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and allow that to go through its process, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to come to an end, like regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, so basically what you're saying though, too, I think this is what I heard towards the end. Cause it's, I think this is important, is we deal with things differently we try to deal with them on a pretty level basis, but that fluctuates depending on how spiritually fit we are and how good we're doing in our own place. Because one thing that I might be able to handle one day, that same exact thing 4 days down the road, and I just, let something get to me and I might blow up at it when it has nothing to do with the person or the thing. It's because I'm dealing with my own shit. Now I'm taking it out on that person. That's kind of what you were saying, right? I'm just kind of trying to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Like, and I've talked about this on the podcast. It's been a while, but this is a funny one. Jess still, I think it's Jess. It may be Lucy now at this point, still puts the damn toilet paper roll upside down. I wanted to go over the top. They put it below. So you got to pull from the bottom. And I have to switch it every time. And for a while, some days I'm like, oh, look at this. They did it again. Oh, that's cool. I'll just turn it over. And other days I'm like, dude, what? Like, man, are you kidding me right now? It needs to go over the top. It's like stupid example, but hey, it works, right? We all do things differently.
So it's a pet peeve thing, right? So the thing for me was the dishes in the sink. Right? Like, because it's so hard to fucking rinse your dish and put it in the goddamn dishwasher, right?
I know.
And then so I had to come to this point, you know what I mean? That no matter what I did, I wasn't going to convince the people in my house to wash their dishes and put them in the dishwasher. Yeah. So I had two choices to make. One, I could be fucking pissed off at it, right? Or two, I could just take the time and do it myself, you know what I mean? And I know that maybe that's, kind of given in a little bit, but it's those things like that are so minor, so minute in the grand scheme of things. But I used to get so fucking worked up about it to where, bro, I'm not shitting you. Like, that shit would have ruined a day.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it would just create that snowball effect for sure. So, I and to kind of go full circle back with that question, man, I think, obviously it's a process. If I were to put my 2 cents into it, I think the biggest thing for me is knowing and understanding that we're faced with good and we're faced with bad, you know what I mean? And knowing and understanding that the bad times are going to come and go just, in the same manner that the good times are going to come and go. And as long as you understand that, that may be able to curb that anger and frustration for a little bit. And the other thing too, like this is a big one, man, is usually it's other people that piss us off and make her angry or they give us a frustration. Knowing and understanding that other person is going through the exact same experience as you are, but different, right? So we are all kind of in this human experience, just trying to, I don't know, make our way through this craziness of what we call life. You know what I mean? Like we're all the same, but so different, right? Like we all have emotions, we all feel, you know what I mean? And I think when I'm able to recognize that, if someone pisses me off, recognize that they're human as well. It makes it so much easier, right? Yeah. Like the tailgater, the people that's fucking riding my ass, like
brake check them.
Yeah, dude, brake check them, and it's irritating. Like, so my response is I slow the fuck down, right, so they could get even closer. You know what I mean? But so the other thing is like, I don't know what that dude is like. He's trying to get to the hospital. Like, I don't know what's going on in his life. You know what I mean? And to make a judgment on what's going on in his life for him tailgating me, I think that's, that could lead to a lot of things, dude. And taking that shit personal. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to show this fucking guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
taking it personal, man. Yeah, that's a big one. That'll
and it's not even a personal attack. You know what I mean?
It's not at all. With the I want to go back to the dishes thing real quick, because you reminded me of something that's funny. We have a buddy, Ray, and I remember him saying when we were in high school, and he wouldn't put his dishes in the sink. His stepdad he'd come home and he'd have a huge pile of dirty dishes on his bed. Here you go, bro. Kevin, he'd take them all out of the sink, and then he'd go put them all in there. Here you go. Here's your dishes, bro. It's like, and I don't know. I've always remembered that. It's hilarious. I don't think I've done it yet. I've wanted to at times too, but actually they're doing pretty good with the dishes in the new spot lately, which is awesome. They've kind of adapted, and that's actually from Jess too. She just was saying that this morning. Excuse me, whose fork and knife is this in the sink? What? You can't put it in the dishwasher? You can't? And I'll say, yeah, that's all right. All right. I think it was mine too, by the way. I think it was my fork and knife. So I had to go put it back in there, but yeah, dude, man.
Well, and the other thing too, man, that I love asking myself, like, is it really that fucking serious? You know what I mean? Like, is this fork or bowl in the sink, is this worth a fucking argument? Like, do I, it's that whole thing, like picking and choosing your battles, man. And, at the end of the day, dude, when I ask myself, like, man, is this really that fucking serious? The answer is typically, nah, it's not. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and then going back to the healthcare provider thing, once I was able to cool off and kind of speak, to the other person on the other end of the phone, with some dignity and be a human being and be nice. I was served, quote unquote served, in the manner that I thought that I should have been. And it was actually like really refreshing, you know what I mean? And that was just kind of part of that whole process of me blowing up, like going back and looking at like, what was my part, you know what I mean? And trying to, clean that up. I wish I could have called the poor lady, you know what I mean? And apologized, but unfortunately with like fucking corporate healthcare, right?
Oh yeah.
Like
Good luck with that.
You'll never talk to the same person ever again. So
here's the question though. Had you not blown, and I'm not validating the behavior by any means, but had you not blown up, would you have gotten served? Is the question. Because I mean, do you see what I'm saying though? Because, and I think that goes back to my point earlier, when we have to be advocates. My mom works in healthcare. She's not a doctor or a nurse or anything, but she's been in that industry for a long time. And man, I remember being a kid and her telling me this, like, when you deal with healthcare stuff, medical stuff, you always have to be your own advocate, because when you factor in corporate and people and organizations and corporate rules and stuff, she would always say that's the biggest thing. You always be your own advocate. Otherwise you won't get what you need to get done, So I'm not saying that, we need to get pissed off and yell and scream and stuff, but who knows? Who knows if you would have got it, I guess. Kind of another loaded question for you, but.
Well, dude, I think there's a good way and a bad way to go about it, right? So, like, in that instance with my healthcare provider, bad, right? I have another issue, you know what I mean, with some stuff going on right now, right? And trying to get a hold of a provider to come and take care of some of their shit, right, on my property. I was able to make calls, right? Like on a regular basis, that old term, the squeaky wheel gets the grease or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and finally the service, that I've been asking to get, it's supposed to happen tomorrow. We'll see if that really goes down.
Oh, nice.
But, and that was all those conversations that I had. I spoke in a very, quote unquote, professional and dignified manner, as much as Seth Mancher can, you know what I mean?
But while still being assertive, right?
What's that?
Like while still being assertive and like, you know, you have something you need done and it's important.
Yes.
But you're doing it in a professional manner is what you're saying versus just hauling off and losing it and just yelling. Cause that's not going to really solve anything. Yeah.
So like, I really struggle with dropping F-bombs. You know what I mean? I don't think in any of the 15 conversations I said fuck one time. You know what I mean? So, and it's just one of those things, like really being in the moment and being your own advocate in a professional and, you know, like assertive manner, you know what I mean? And treating the other person on the other end of the line with dignity and respect, because the other person on the other line, you know, this is something that I really, truly believe in, man. Like they're just trying to make their way through life as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, life requires us to go to work and make fucking money so that we could just have the essentials to get by. You know what I mean? And if I'm able to recognize that other person on the other line, like if that was my mom or my daughter, you know what I mean? Would I want some fucking asshole talking to them like that? No. You know what I mean? So why is it okay for me to be an asshole and talk to someone's daughter or mom in that same manner? You know what I mean? It's just, it's kind of like the golden rule or whatever, you know what I mean?
One thing that I learned recently, that it has really helped me to step back in those situations. It actually came from Ed Lattimore. He's in our mastermind group, just a great dude, man. And, a lot of good insight and stuff. And we were talking one day, about how to be leaders, how to lead, but then also how do you solve problems when there are disagreements or there's an issue with something, right? And one of the things he said, and it was so simple, but I had never kind of framed it up like this before. And I think it kind of relates to taking things personal. He said, like, if you have another person and you have an issue with them or something happened or there's some sort of conversation that needs to happen, keep in mind, I'm not attacking the person, I'm attacking the issue. So, or vice versa. This person's not attacking me, Shane Raymer, personally, not the guy, not the thing. We're attacking this issue and we're going to try to do it together and we're going to try to do it respectfully. And we may disagree on things. We may even argue a little bit, but we're going to do it in a manner that's respectful so we can solve the problem. And it's not a personal thing. And so I've thought about that a lot because there's been a couple situations where I've had to go back to that and go, wait a minute, like this ain't about me. It's not about this person. It's just about how do we solve this problem? So it kind of takes the personability out of the situation and helps to solve it faster rather than being so emotional about it and getting pissed off about it. And mind you, this is easier said than done, by the way. I'm sure that you understand that, like in the moment, but that's why we talk about, because I feel like even talking about this stuff, we grow in these conversations. I remember this shit and I remember it when it comes up and I remember when we talked about that. Boom, I can use this right now, in this moment. So it's good. It's good stuff. It's good to talk about this kind of stuff. Love it.
Well, no, bro. And too, man, like that's one of my favorite sayings. Like I'm pretty good at this at work. I just need to get better at it in my personal life. But one of my favorite sayings, dude, is like leaving personalities out of it. Like, let's attack the root of the problem. And I don't even care who the fuck is involved. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just want to know what the problem is. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about how we solve that. Like, I don't want to talk about how we fix Bill to not ever fucking do that again. Let's take that issue out of the equation altogether so that Bill, Dick, and Harry will never do that again. Like, I'm not just trying to fix Bill, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's, a lot of times, dude, that is the first thing that I will say is leaving personalities out of it. What was the problem? Or, you know what I mean? Like,
what's the issue?
I don't know. Yeah. What exactly is the issue? And I think that's when we're able to attack the issue rather than the person itself. And I feel, a lot of times, like when I was on the phone with the healthcare provider, like I was attacking the other person on the other line rather than the fucking issue. Maybe I thought I was attacking the issue as the primary, but really when I look at it, man, I was attacking the person on the other end of the line as the primary and then the issue secondary. So
that's good.
Yeah, I think that's think that's so rad, dude. So yeah, part of that, that anger but I truly believe in my heart of hearts, dude, it all begins with the expectation. Like what is my, and what is the, like what is my intent? You know what I mean? And I think if I go through life with zero to minimal expectations and good intentions, that there'll be some frustrating and not so pleasurable feelings, but for the most part, man, like that's when I'm like at my best.
Yeah. Yep. Me too. Expectations are the enemy, in most cases, at least in my experience, they have been. It's better when I just do my best, put one foot in front of the other, try to keep moving along, Well, dude, we're already done an hour and 15 minutes. It's been great, man. So happy to have you back on. It's been a great little catch up. I know. Did you lose me there? There we go.
I got you.
Okay, cool. Hey, I thought maybe we could give a little shout out to our boy Chris too, out there in the U.S. Coast Guard, who's out in, where's he at, Maryland right now? Or I know he's somewhere deep. He's coming back to the Bay Area or to Southern California here soon, but just wanted to give him a little love. He's doing great. I know you guys have been keeping in touch too. And also our buddy Ray, I know I mentioned this recently. Our buddy Ray just had, I think 5 months without alcohol, which is amazing. And I just bring those two guys up. I think Chris is right around a year and Ray's 5 months. And, there's so many dudes out there who we're all in different experiences. We're all at different levels in our recovery or alcohol-free lives or sobriety, however we want to frame it up. But I just want to say for the dude out there who's struggling or who's like questioning, like, dude, a life without alcohol in it, without poisoning in it, without numbing our feelings and emotions and stunting our growth and really stunting our consciousness in our day-to-day, man, it's 100% possible. Seth and I are living proof of that. And we got a bunch of other dudes out there who are doing the same stuff. And there's a lot of support around it, and it's an amazing community. And man, I just encourage anybody, man, reach out if you need some help. We got a bunch of resources at thatsoberguy.com, and you can reach out to Seth. You can reach out to me. You can find us on Locals, all kinds of good stuff, man. And also, Seth, just want to tell you, thank you, bro. I love you. Thanks for coming on. Any final words before we wrap up today?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll just piggyback on that. Like, throw Chris and Ray some props, man. Like, so Chris was basically sailing around the U.S., taking his boat from San Francisco over to Maryland, right, and stayed sober through the whole that whole trip, awesome. Right. So, was out to sea most of the time and pulled into some foreign ports. So if he's able to do that, on a ship away from community or group, I think anything can. And two, man, like, Ray, man, to be able to take that step, you know what I mean? That's probably one of the hardest things, and just speaking from experience, that was one of the hardest things that I had to do. I'm super proud of him too, man. And I think, the biggest thing, man, if you need help, just ask, you know what I mean? There's plenty of people that are willing to, kind of lead you and show you the way. But hit me up on the Locals. What's up, kid?
Say what's up to Seth.
Hi, Seth.
What's up, dude? Hey, I like that dude.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, did you beat Dad at golf the other day or what?
What?
Yeah, I gotta put. Let's put this.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. No, let's check.
How was the golf game the other day?
It was good.
Yeah.
There you go. Talking to the mic here.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Right on. Did you hit some balls far at the driving range? Get some good drives in?
Yeah.
He's doing good. He's about to start some baseball. We're playing a little golf, Dude, he had jiu-jitsu tonight, dude. This dude's like a beast in jiu-jitsu, just kicking butt, huh? Doing pretty good?
Yep.
Having fun with it?
I think I'm doing.
What'd you do tonight? Did you put anyone in any chokes or?
Yep.
Yeah, a couple chokes.
So out of the three, which is your favorite, would you say?
golf? Really? Yeah. That's good to know. All right.
Yeah.
I really like golf.
You going to bed?
Yeah.
I'm going to come tuck you in just a minute, all right? All right. Love you, buddy.
Love you.
Best buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say bye to Seth.
Bye, dude.
Yeah, dude. Good stuff, bro. I really appreciate it coming on the show. Good to catch up. Loved our coffee date the other day, by the way, too. Dude, so fun. I noticed how great of a listener you are, by the way, too. I know I said that in the text, but I really appreciated that. I really needed somebody that I trusted and a good homie to like just listen that day. So I hope I didn't rape your ear too hard.
Nah, bro. I always enjoy our time. You know what I mean? And like I told you, bro, Mel's been telling me like, I don't need you to fix my shit. Just listen to me, right? So I've really been trying to hone in on that skill for sure. So I thank you for, being my guinea pig. And like, this is always a great honor, man, to come on the podcast, man, and watching it grow from, where you started in 2014 to where you're at now in 2022. Like you sound like a fucking pro. And all the people that, that get something out of the podcast and the people that you're helping. I just want to recognize that in you. And, the people that are reaching out for help, like that's so rad. It's a great start, man. And I will tell everyone out there, you know what I mean, that the doors of life open up once we stop drinking and burying our souls. I hate to carry on, but the Arabic term of, how do you say it? Alcohol?
Yeah. Alcohol.
That was so like eye-opening and refreshing, and it's so true.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
True.
I'm glad you heard that. Yeah, that's a crazy one. My mom actually sent that to me. And it was kind of mind blowing. I was like, wow, it was, and it wasn't at the same time, because it makes sense. It made so much sense when you actually, heard about that. So, what is your handle on Locals if folks want to hit you up and follow you on there or whatever?
Seth the Gaff.
All right. Seth.
I don't know where I came up with that. It's Seth the Gaffla. So it's SEFFVGAFF. So that's it. Okay. Seth the Gaff.
And I'll put that in the show notes too, if anyone wants to copy and paste it there or take a note of it. But once again, man, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, bro. Love you, appreciate you, and we'll make sure we do it again a couple more times this year for sure.
Yeah, right on. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thanks for tuning in today. Would love it if you told a friend about the show. If you got a friend who looking maybe to cut out alcohol out of their lives. If you're tired of drinking, you can head on over to quitdrinkingdude.com. If you're interested in a 30-day program, you're looking for some more professional treatment options, be sure to holler at Promises. We got those links in the show notes as well. Instagram at That Sober Guy Podcast. Once again, join the local Sober Guy group. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. Peace and love and respect, and keep your blood clean.